Well, China is holding a second day of military drills around Taiwan as tensions between Taipei and Beijing escalate. China launched missiles into the Taiwan Strait near Pingtan Island, the closest Chinese island to Taiwan. That comes alongside Chinese naval drills at sea in areas surrounding Taiwan, demonstrating their ability to blockade the island. Meanwhile, Taiwan has responded by scrambling fighter jets from a base at Hsinchu on the western coast. The roots of this standoff trace back to the Chinese Civil War in 1949, when the defeated nationalist government fled to Taiwan and the People's Republic of China was formed on the mainland. Now, this dispute gained global weight in 1971 when the UN recognized Beijing as China's representative. Taiwan is not a member state. The island of Taiwan has governed itself for decades, but Beijing views it as a part of China and insists that reunification is inevitable. Tension over Taiwan has escalated since Chinese President Xi Jinping took office, with Beijing holding 6 major drills since 2022. Well, Zein Basravi is standing by at an airbase in Taiwan. But first, let's go over to Katrina Yu, who's monitoring the situation from Beijing. And so, Katrina, look, we are now into day 2 of these drills, and China seems to be telegraphing in some ways how it would take back Taiwan by force. So what are we learning about their tactics?
That's right. Well, China has dispatched its army, its navy, its air force, and its rocket force, and it sent them essentially to encircle Taiwan. We know from a map released by the People's Liberation Army that they are approaching the island from 5 different directions. These blocks, the area of which this drill is covering, it seems to be larger than ever before, and the focus seems to be blocking major ports in Taiwan and isolating the island. So practicing cutting off Taiwan potentially from the rest of the world. We also know that the PLA says today that they will be testing long-range missiles. So certainly this drill involves practicing both defensive and offensive capacities of the People's Liberation Army and targeting not only troops coming from Taiwan, but potentially troops coming from other directions, troops being sent from foreign forces. And certainly for the first time in history, Beijing has admitted that these drills are also directed towards any country that may be considering stopping Beijing from taking back control of Taiwan.
Wow. So, Katrina, look, the Taiwanese military says that 90 out of 130 military planes that are taking part in these drills cross the median line between China and Taiwan. What is Beijing saying about that?
It certainly seems that Beijing is emboldened more than ever before this time round. It hasn't commented about this particular drill and those planes, as you mentioned, crossing the median line. But in the past, China's response has been very simple. They don't believe a median line between Taiwan and China exists. And that is the very point. China believes that Taiwan is simply another Chinese province, rogue sovereign territory that will be taken back if necessary by force. And really the whole point of these drills is to send a very clear message to the government of Lai Ching-te, the democratically elected president in Taiwan, that pushing for independence or even declaring independence is crossing a red line, and that red line for Beijing is the belief that there is only one China.
All right, so that is the view from Beijing. Zein Basravi in Taiwan, now over to you. So you've been on the coast, now you're at the Hsinchu Air Base. What are you seeing from your vantage point?
Well, here at the Hsinchu Air Base, journalists were being pushed away earlier this morning. We've just come back and we are here. We are able to film. Let me give you a sense of exactly where we are. Now, this is the main air base in this part of Taiwan, in the north of Taiwan. It is the main airbase, and here you see barbed wire around an airfield, and there in the distance, just under open canopies, under an open hangar, we do see parked jets, but that's just what you can see from the street. This base is home to Taiwan's fleet of F-16s, which numbers about 140. That number is expected to go up. In coming years, Taiwan has pledged to take that number up to 200 F-16s, the promise to purchase more to continue to bolster its defense capabilities. Ahead of these military exercises by China, the prelude was an estimated $11 billion deal for military hardware struck with the U.S., the promise of reports of upwards of $40 billion more being spent by Taiwan in coming years. It really is an indication, these military exercises by China, the continued ratcheting up of military spending by Taiwan, both sides in this conflict at the moment seem to be edging more towards open conflict than any kind of dialogue. And the worry is anytime there is this kind of escalation, even though maneuvers and exercises are relatively routine, but when they scale up like this, when there's this much rhetoric from Taipei, from Beijing, the worry is that the threshold for open conflict continues to fall lower and lower. And that really is the worry for people here in Taiwan at the moment.
So you told us earlier that Taiwanese people are used to these kind of military drills, but obviously this one seems to be on another level. Have there been any disruptions caused by these drills, and is there genuine concern among people there?
Well, certainly this is directly affecting the daily life of fishermen, for instance. We were at the harbor earlier. All the boats were in the port. They weren't out on the waters. They were told, instructed, fishermen across Taiwan have been instructed to keep their boats in the harbor, to stay out of the waters for their own safety for the duration of these drills. Air and naval traffic, international air traffic was threatened, Taiwan said. International routes were under threat of some kind of disruption that was announced ahead of these drills. But what we heard from the airport official this morning who spoke to us said that it is business as usual at the moment and things are carrying on. It's certainly creating political tension. Critics of the president saying that ratcheting up rhetoric with Beijing is perhaps not the way forward to create any sort of stable long-term solution to the conflict. But what we do have, the latest reaction from Taiwan, the Minister of National Defense said today that China's provocative actions threaten regional stability and civilian traffic. Following the president's guidance, the Taiwanese armed forces will respond calmly and safeguard our nation's security and democracy. So Taiwanese government urging calm, but everybody here is certainly on high alert. The military is on high alert and will remain so for the duration of these exercises. They are expected to fold up today, but at the same time, China has left it open-ended. They may carry on in coming days.
All right, we will be keeping a close eye. That's Zein Basravi watching these major Chinese military drills right on Taiwan's front doorstep. Zein, thank you.
Don't miss out. Get the full picture. Subscribe to Al Jazeera for reliable news, expert insight. Like, share, stay ahead.